Hey, what's going on? This is your stimulus check updated information. So recently, President Biden came out and he was talking about the jobs report and how he's created all these new jobs since his administration got started. And maybe the possibility of the case, but this past September, only 194,000 jobs were added. That's not a very good number. And I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on President Biden, Congress, and all of them to possibly get a fourth stimulus check coming down the road. Right now, they have this giant infrastructure bill, and this infrastructure bill is $1.9 trillion the government wants to spend. It's already passed in the Senate. It has to go over to the House. They have to pass it. Also inside of the House is a $3.5 trillion budget plan. So we're talking $5 trillion that's going to be added to the federal government. They had to raise the debt ceiling by $480 billion in order to get more funding to the federal government, but they also have to figure out how they're going to add in another $5 trillion. That means they're going to have to raise the debt ceiling probably another $5 trillion in December. So we'll see if they come out with that and get that done. But right now, President Biden, he needs to figure out how he's going to get more jobs, how he's going to create more economy. And I don't know if spending into the economy is going to be the best, because they seem to try to do that before, but it's not really working right now. And I don't know if they're going to have to spend a ton more. Where's that money going to go? Is it going to get in the hands of people that need it the most? But that's what he's working on right now. Some of the unemployment, numbers were not good. They said the unemployment rate dropped. If the unemployment continues to drop, how is that for stimulus? How is that going to go forward? There still is a ton of stimulus check of money available in these states. So California has about $30 billion. They're going to send out $500 or $600 checks to people in California, $500 checks to dependents. Then you have some of the other states like Arizona and Connecticut. They're actually giving money to people that go back to work. They're trying to incentivize people, go back to work, we'll give you some money. In fact, I think it was $2,000 for people in Arizona to go back, get a full-time job, $1,000 in Connecticut. Then you have places like Tennessee, Michigan, Georgia, Florida. All these states are giving money back to their teachers. But also in Florida, frontline workers are giving money back to those that live in the area. So I think that's good for people that live in Florida. They're going to get a bonus check. Some of the other states, I don't know what kind of program they have, but they have to give that money back to the federal government if they don't spend it by December 31st. So look for that. Now, the Democrats, they're trying to push for this child tax credit extension. This is something that they have in this American Families Plan. This is the child tax credit is giving anybody with children under the age of 6 a $300 monthly check. If you have kids between 6 and 17, it's a $250 check. So that is definitely good news. I think California is stepping up, doing the right thing. They had that money. They turn around and send it. The federal government gave each state so much money. They should just turn around and give it to their citizens. And why not? It's kind of free money. But I think a lot of these states are probably saying, "Hey, we got a ton of money. Let's not spend it on the citizens. Let's go spend it on stuff that probably shouldn't be spending on." Now, Alabama right now, they're spending on more. They're trying to improve the prisons in Alabama. They're using the stimulus money to improve prisons in Alabama. It's not really a good thing, and I don't know if Alabama's thinking smart on it. Now, in the House of Representatives, there is this Support Act. The Support Act is going to have a $1,200 payment going out to those that qualify. There's a big progressive movement in the House of Representatives. AOC, all of them are going to try to push this new Support Act, which is going to get $1,200 payments out there. Also, that petition at change.org is almost up to 3 million signatures. 3 million signatures is going to put a lot of pressure on Congress to say, hey, we want to get some type of stimulus payment on a monthly basis. And they're talking about $2,000. But right now, the federal government, they're just going to try to tax everybody to craziness to try to come up with these fundings for their big budget plans. And at some point, I think you're going to have to just, the government can't just tax everybody 100%. That's what they want to do. They want to tax billionaires and millionaires, but they're not going to be able to raise enough money because they spend too much money. It's like if we had a house, we had a credit card, but we spent so much money that the income coming in was not taking care of the amount of money that we're going into debt. At some point, you have to cut back on some things. And I don't know if the federal government has the ability to cut back. They should budget their plans just like any other state or local governments. Local governments have to budget their plans or budget their balance sheets because of the fact that they only have money that comes into them they can use by raising sales tax or property tax, things like that. So federal government should do that. They should get that plan set up. If more stimulus checks come out, it's going to come in the new American Families Plan. If a fourth stimulus check is in there, it's going to come into that plan right there. So I'm going to have to wait and see if Nancy Pelosi can get it done. She always likes to say, well, we need to pass the bill in order to see what's in it. I'm not sure if she knows what's in it because it's so huge. It's like it's like all of these, I don't know how many pages it is, but it's huge. So many pages in this bill. It's just going to be a huge amount of money that's going to be spent into the economy. So right now you have Social Security League. They're trying to get another $1,400 payments out to those in SSI and SSDI. They're also trying to raise the Social Security payments up by at least, I think, 6% next year. They got to raise it more than that because the fact that inflation right now is going through crazy. inflation is so hot right now that prices everywhere are rising. It's because of the fact that inflation has everything to do with the fact that they're printing so much money. It's devaluing the currency. So when prices rise, it means the dollar is declining. It means the purchasing power is not as good. $20 20 years ago bought you a lot more stuff than $20 today does. So that's what the federal government is doing right now. They're devaluing the currency. It's crazy. I always encourage people to try to pick up some type of asset. You know, if you can put your money into gold and silver, that's great. If you can put some money into cryptocurrency, that's great. If you can buy some property, that's another good value. Anything that holds value right now is where I think a lot of people should be taking their extra spending. If you do get a stimulus check, try to pick up some type of assets with that, some type of real value that holds the value. Gold and silver always hold value. Cryptocurrencies have held value very great. I think it's going to be the future. I think the Federal Reserve is going to come out with some type of Fed Now coin, where they'll put an app on your phone, and that app will have money in it. It'll be stimulus money. You'll have a certain time limit to go spend that money. That is going to try to get the velocity of money going into the economy. That's going to be a crazy experiment. I don't think it's going to work, but ultimately I think at the beginning they're going to try to do it. I think that when federal government continues to just print money and devalues their currency like that, it just puts so much pressure on all the currencies, and it doesn't work anymore. So what I look forward to seeing is at least another stimulus checks going out to those that live in the States. I'm interested to see if they're going to have another stimulus payment where they send it into people's accounts. Look for some type of stable coin in the future that's going to have money on it. And I think they call it a Fed Now coin, if I'm not mistaken. I've had listened to Jerome Powell, and he has talked about the Fed Now coin. So, we'll see if that comes out. We're going to have to see if they can get this passed. They're going back and forth right now. They have to go back and forth about the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling is in place to hold the government accountable. They're trying to get the limits on the spending. Some people want to just eliminate the debt ceiling. I mean, if you limit the debt ceiling, then the federal government can just print as much money as they want. I mean, they can just say, let's have a $10 trillion budget plan. I mean, Bernie Sanders, he would go out there and say, here's a $15 check or $15 trillion check. Let's just go spend it in the economy. That's what he wants to do. Bernie doesn't understand that if you keep printing money like that, you keep devaluing the currency, and everything rises. Prices go crazy. We need to get our prices down. We got to have deflation of things going down. That's what's good for the economy. If prices go down, that's good for everybody. So the federal government should be thinking about how do we get prices to go down instead of trying to constantly pump up these companies, constantly trying to pump up these values of a lot of the things in the stock market and things like that. Because when you put money in the stock market, that's not really helping out the economy. That's just adding to the stock market and people in Wall Street. So the federal government should start to figure out how can we get our currency stronger. How can we get deflation to start taking prices down? We need food prices down. We need gas prices down. Home prices need to come down. All of that. The only way they're going to do that is they stop printing money. And I don't know if the federal government has the ability to figure out how to stop writing checks. I mean, right now they just have an unlimited checkbook. They just keeps printing, and that's going to continue to increase the prices of everything. So AOC and all them and the progressives, they need to sit down with the federal government and say, you guys got to quit spending all that money. You got to quit devaluing the currency. If that's the way you want to help the poor, if that's the way you want to help the middle class, is get prices down. Have prices where they're lowest so the middle class and the poor can afford things. Because you're going to price the poor and middle class right out of the economy. They're not going to be able to have anything left. So that's what I want to see. That's what I like to see. I think that the future is going to be digital currencies. That's where a lot of things are going to happen. That's where a lot of the currency is going to go. If that happens, that's going to put a lot of the power back in people, because it's going to have an alternative currency that's going to not be devalued. That way prices start to get prices into cryptocurrencies. When that happens, that's when a lot of the poor and middle class are going to benefit the most from it.